Very interesting chapter and very important chapter. This chapter is not only there in CS Executive, but the same chapter and the weightage is there in CS Professional as well. I will be covering it all in a really quick manner with all the things that can possibly come in your examination. Firstly, the regulation that we will be doing is your SEBI, share-based employee benefits and sweat equity regulations 2021. Now, what are these regulations? Let's understand. Earlier, there were two regulations. There was the SEBI Sweat Equity Regulations 2002 and second was SEBI Share-Based Employee Benefits Regulations 2014. These were two regulations. Both these regulations have now been repealed, have been replaced. Okay, both of them have been replaced. And the correct thing is both of them have actually been clubbed and we have one single regulation which is called as your SEBI share based employee benefits. From here you have this share based employee benefits, this part, and also it clubs the sweat equity regulations which is here. So it's a combination of these two. So the earlier regulations, both these regulations 2002 and 2014 have been merged into a single regulation. Is this clear till now? And what was the purpose of merging them? Because both of them provided benefits to employees. So they said that why not have one regulation only which provides a benefit to the employee regulations and make it one regulation. Now, in this, there will be two parts. As we saw, two regulations have been clubbed, so it will have two parts. And in your examination, only questions can be framed from these two parts only. So this is the first part and this is the second part. Clear? The first part says that this, now the short name of it is SBE, BSE, okay, share based employee benefits and sweat equity regulations. In this, they've provided you 5 schemes, which we will see what are those schemes. These are all employee benefit schemes. And the next chapter is talking about sweat equity shares and their provisions. Now, whenever we start, it is important, and I want you to take a note or take a screenshot because this is a confirmed question that will be there, and you will be confirmed writing the regulation number. Imagine writing the regulation number and the section number and the chapter number. I'm telling you which one will come. So your SEBI regulations, it has around 6 chapters. In the 6 chapters, chapter number 3 is very important, which is there for our syllabus, and chapter number 4. So always you will write it down that as per chapter number 3 or chapter number 4. So these two chapter numbers you should remember. Those 5 schemes are given from regulation number 16 to regulation number 27. Here in chapter number 4 you will write that as per the chapter 4 of these regulations talk about the sweat equity shares, regulation number 28 to 41. So if they ask about the 5 schemes, we will write chapter number 3. If they talk about sweat equity, you will write about chapter number 4. Good to go till here? Let's begin. Now we are first talking about the schemes, those 5 schemes that are there, these employee benefit schemes. Company wants to encourage their employees because today the biggest assets for any company are their employees. We have to think how to find good employee and retain these good employees. Means मैं चाहता हूँ कि companies employee को retain करें. They should be there in the company. So what do? They have certain beneficial scheme for the employees. Today, if you also want to work, you would want to work in a company which takes care of their employees. So these benefits are given. Benefits can be given in two ways. One is direct route and the other one is a trust route. So let's see what is a direct route and what is a trust route. First, today companies realize, let's say you are a very talented, hardworking person, okay, and company realizes that this guy is working very, very hard. To find who are these talented employees, the company has a compensation committee. This compensation committee will identify employees who should be given. They'll find out who should be given and what should be the pricing and what will be the terms and conditions. So a separate committee is made inside the company to identify the eligible employees who will be entitled to this. Second, once you find and we came to know that you are the eligible employee, so we'll go and tell the employee, for example, I am the owner, I will go and tell the employee that listen, company mein, in the company, the share price, the market price of the company is 50 rupees. I am giving you because you are an employee. I will give you these shares for 20 rupees only. So this is the offer price. Tell me, will the employee be happy or sad? If the market price is 50 of the share and we are offering the employee at 20 rupees, the employee will be happy or sad? He will be extremely happy. So because he is getting a benefit, if you see in real time, he is getting right now he is getting a benefit of rupees 30. But we will tell him, listen, there is a condition apply that we are giving it to you for 20, but their share has a lock-in. You are under a lock-in where you have to work with the company for minimum 1 year or 2 years. Whatever is there, the terms and conditions will be given. So by this way, we can retain the talented employees. Great. So certain lock-in periods, etc. will be there. Now the company grants these options. If you want, pay 20 rupees or subscribe to the we are giving you the offer. You can take the offer. We are granting it to you. Fulfill the terms and conditions. Once you fulfill, then the employee will be the company will issue fresh shares to the employee and the employee will pay the balance amount. Till here it is clear. Very simple, give and take. You work for the company for 1 year, we will give you the shares at discounted price. So that's the point. Now just understand little bit from accounting. I understand accounting is not our core forte, but we have to understand little bit from accounting part also. Today, if the company has issued their shares of 50 at 20, they have to show that the balance 30 किधर गया, balance 30 क्यों नहीं आ रहा है, right or no? In the accounting we have to show that why are these being giving at a discount. So then the company will say that 30 rupees, because the share is of 50, we will say we got 20 and the balance 30 we will have to treat it as an employee expense that we have given this a benefit. So in our account we are not getting that 30 rupees, so we'll expense it out. Clear till here? So this is benefit for the employee. Employee point of view it is good, but from the company point of view it is an expense to retain the employee. So that 30 rupees what he is not paying will be treated as an employee expense from the company point of view. Yes, so now this is the direct method. Next is the trust route. Now trust route is something which you need to pay attention. So whatever you are doing, I want you to hold back, relax, you have lot of time, pay attention to the trust route. These people find it difficult. The full summary of this regulation I'm giving now only. Okay. In trust route, companies today like Reliance, Tata's have so many employees. Where will they monitor all of this? That he has completed the time period, इसने time period complete कर दिया, इसको देना है, terms and conditions. Company cannot really handle it themselves. So what they do, they set up a employee trust to manage these schemes. Till here it is clear. Company by itself cannot internally just work and not have a dedicated organization to manage this. So what the company does today, they set up a trust to manage the entire employee schemes. Now what happens is, companies set up the trust. The trust will then issue the shares to the employees, will transfer the shares to the employees, because everything will now be handled by the trust. There will be trustees, and these trustees and the employees will be the beneficiaries. Now what happens, that the trust will have to get the shares. So these shares they can buy it from the open market. The trust, employee trust, will have to give the shares to the employees. To give the shares first, the trust will have to have the shares. So what they will do, they can buy from the market, secondary market, stock market of that company. The trust will keep buying. To buy, the trust requires money. So the money will be provided by the company in the form of a loan. So the funding is given by the company. So the company will give money to the trust. The trust will buy from the market, and whenever the employee completes his tenure, the trust will allot him the shares. Till here it is clear. Now, when the employee completed his tenure, the trust will execute a transfer of shares. They will transfer the shares to the employees. The employee will pay the balance, whatever we had discussed earlier. Let's say he paid the 20 rupees. This 20 rupees is received by the trust. They can, with that help, they will repay the loan. Obviously, they will not be able to repay the full loan. So whatever is the difference will be treated as an employee expense, that the company has given this. They are not getting the full loan, but whatever loss the company is there, they are considering it as an employee expense. To make the employees happy, we had to give that at discounted price. Till here it is clear. Next, let's look at this. How does it work? Okay, the trust rule. The company is there. The companies nowadays prefer to set up trust. The trust is set up to manage this scheme. The loan is given to the trust so that they can go and buy the shares from the open market. Once the open market, they buy the shares, they keep it ready. Employees get certain grants. These grants, once they have completed their tenure, the employees will exercise the option, pay the price. They will get the shares, and with that money, the trust will repay the loan. Now there are three important terms to understand. So this is a 12-mark chapter, and whatever I am doing from there only it will come. First, we are seeing the three important terminologies in employee options. First is a grant of option, second is a vesting of option, and third is a exercise period. अभी तीन important dates होती है इसके अंदर. बहुत प्रोफेशनल्स भी कंफ्यूज रहते हैं इसके बारे में. Even professionals are confused, so pay attention. Okay, what happens? First, the company will give a offer letter to the employee that congratulations, you have been identified, you are a very hardworking person, we are ready to give you options, granting the options. So offer letter is given, he will also be very happy, he will subscribe. That is called as grant of option. Till now, has the shares been vested with him? अभी तक shares मिल गए क्या उसको? Message in the chat box. Have the shares been given to them, or it is just an offer that you complete the tenure, then we will give you a discounted price? Have shares been given? Now, at this point, shares are not given. Then the employee will, once he has subscribed to the offer, then he will work. He will work for 1 year. What are the terms and conditions that he has to complete? Duration for work that he has to give. So, let's say this is called as the waiting period. Waiting period in simple words, that he has to wait. for, he needs to work for the company for 1 year, 2 years, as and then they have said. Once the tenure is over, the vesting period is over and the shares get vested, 1 year is over. Now the employee will be very, very happy that he is entitled to buy it at lower price. Till now have shares been given to him? Till now have shares been given to him? Answer is no. अभी तक क्या होगा? He has completed 1 year, but he has to still go and tell the company, I want it, take this money, give me. That is called as exercise period. Generally for 3 months they give. Once the vesting, if shares have been vested, once your time period has been completed, then you and come and tell me that you want the shares. So that is given an exercise period. You have to come, let's say approximately company can give 3 months time. After the shares have been vested, after you've completed your time, then in 3 months you come and tell us that you want, because if you don't do, then the option can lapse again. So indefinitely कभी भी नहीं आ सकता है. अभी तुमको मिल गया तो कैसे एक टाइम पीरियड होता है, विद इन दैट टाइम पीरियड यू कम एंड यू पे द योर discounted price and get that share. So that is the exercise period. So first is the offer letter, then comes the waiting period. He has to work for that much time. Once he has worked and the shares are now eligible, then he has to go and exercise, execute, pay the balance amount, the discounted price, to get the share. All the three terminologies are clear. I'll be going faster after this because this is the main crux. Okay. So this is the basics of the grants of options under the schemes. Now let's see the regulations. These regulations are their SEBI regulations, right? So it is applicable on listed company or unlisted company. So these will be applicable to only those companies which are listed on the stock exchange. Now let's see few definitions. There were 5 schemes that we had done, all of which will come later. Now these 5 schemes are employee stock option scheme, stock purchase scheme, general employee benefit scheme, and retirement benefit schemes. Okay. So you have all these schemes: option scheme, purchase scheme, general employee benefits, and retirement benefit. Let's understand. All of this will come later part, but a small overview we will see. Employee stock option scheme means what? It is a scheme under which company grants certain options to the employees directly or through a trust. So I identify you and I say, I'm giving you these shares at this price, lower price, but work for me for so much time. This is the option scheme. In purchase scheme, what happens? This is offered as a part of public issue. Matlab, a public issue is there. So let's say this is a public issue. In public issue, I make a reservation. A reservation is made कि इतना रिजर्व किया है employee के लिए. For the employees, it has been reserved. So I will tell, for the public, it is rupees 50, but for your reserve category, it is only 20. But when you are subscribing, it will be subject to lock-in period. So this is when a scheme is there, company offers to his employee as a part of public issue, it is called as purchase scheme. Next, general employee benefits scheme. Now this is what general benefits के लिए scheme बना है. For example, welfare benefits such as sickness, maternity, healthcare, disability, scholarship. So these are all the general benefit schemes that they have made. And third is retirement benefit. When you retire, then as a retirement benefit, certain amount will be given to you. That is a retirement benefit scheme. So company can launch any of these schemes for the benefit of their employees. Sweat equity will come later. Then there is one small part also that we can, it's very unlikely it will come, but it is a good concept to know. 2 minutes I'll finish this concept. Stock appreciation rights. Stock appreciation rights. Now what is this? This is a right given. Now understand. मैं एम्प्लॉय को बोल रहा हूं, आई एम टेलिंग द एम्प्लॉय दैट मेहनत कर, you work very very hard, the market value, the market price should increase. Whatever is the increase, whatever is the appreciation, जितना भी increase हुआ है उतना के तेरे को शेयर दे दूंगा या उतना तेरे को कैश दे दूंगा. That much appreciation I will give you as a cash benefit or as a stock benefit. So let's take an example. I tell the employee on 1st January that the share price is 100. You work hard. If the share price increases, difference I'll give you as benefit. So the date of vesting, so he will wait, vesting period is the waiting period. So he has to work for that much time with the company. Then the shares will get vested with him. Once it is vested, then he has to exercise within the time period and pay the money and finish the formalities to get it actually. So only on exercise period he becomes the shareholder of the company. So I tell him कि तुम काम करो, whatever is the increase. So he worked hard, 100 rupees share, he increased to 250. So the increase is 150, appreciation is a 150. I tell you, the share price has increased to 150. This 150 rupees I will pay you in the form of cash or 150 worth shares I will give you. What do you want? Tell me. So this is basically a stock appreciation rights. I'm going to cover only those things which can come in your exam. Okay. Now coming to implement of schemes through the trust. Okay. Implement of schemes through the trust. Remember I told you trust route. Trust route is mandatory whenever the company wants to have secondary acquisition, etc. Matlab trust will be there to manage the schemes. They will buy from the stock market the shares. Whenever the employee finishes his tenure, shares will be given to him and discounted price will be taken from him. Okay. Now, there are few points. I will go quickly. You've understood the concept. Now it is only facts that you need to understand. Okay. So a company may implement either directly or through a trust. First point, I told you first only. Now, whenever there is secondary acquisition, whenever you want that shares will be purchased from the stock market, no fresh issue. For example, you are the employee. Either I issue fresh shares, मैं तुम्हें fresh shares issue कर दूँ तो ये direct route हो गया. But I am not issuing fresh shares. I want to purchase from the market. तो buyback लग जाएगा. If the company purchases directly, buyback provision will apply. So they say no. If you want to buy from the secondary market, create a trust. That trust will buy from the market and then they will give it to you. Okay. So this is in whenever it involves secondary acquisition, it is mandatory to implement through a trust only. Okay. Then a company may implement several schemes through one trust. Very simple. A trust deed will be made. Obviously, if a trust is there, there will be trustees, there will be trust deed. Okay, any person can be appointed as a trustee as long as he is not connected with the key people of the company, because this trust is for the benefit of employees and it is to protect from any director, etc. So we want it to be independent, impartial person. Okay, so this is their implementation. Then the trustee shall not vote in respect of the shares held by the trust. Understand? The trust is buying the shares, so the trust will also be a shareholder. Trust cannot vote. Okay. Next, the trustee should ensure that the requisite approval from the shareholders has been obtained by the company. The trust shall not deal in derivative and only deal in delivery based transaction. Very, very simple. Let's understand. The trust, I am purchasing the share. Trustee is purchasing the share. Now we start dealing in derivative. We will start dealing in F&O. We will start dealing in futures, options, currency, commodity. This is all nonsense. This involves extreme high risk. Derivatives involves extreme risk. You cannot enter into derivative trading. One, quietly buy from the market. When you buy also, it will be delivery based transaction only. Delivery based transaction means what? When you buy, The shares have to hit your account, money has to be transferred, a proper transaction should be completed, and it is said that we should hold it also for minimum 6 months. Tell me what we do as traders. So I like to trade in shares also. I can buy and sell in within minutes. Can a trust do that? Answer is no. Delivery in you, I bought it, immediately I sold it. So we do that. This is called as intraday. The trustees cannot do such kind of things. The money, the trust, from where they will get, the company will only lend the money to the trust. The shareholding of the trust will be shown separately. Don't you think we have to know that how much shares are this trust holding? So it will come, the shareholding of the trust will be known as non-promoter, non-public shareholding. When you go and see the shareholding pattern, we will come to know in the shareholding pattern, we come to know how many equity shareholders are there, who are the promoters, who are the QIBs. We will also come to know here who is a trust is holding. So they will come in a separate pattern. In the अलग ही table बनेगा, non-promoter, non-public. They are not promoter, non-public. तो है कौन? Trust है, trust, employee trust. Secondary acquisition shall not exceed 2% of the company. Very, very important point to be remembered as well. Pay attention, okay? The employee, the trust can buy shares and then give it to the employee. So now can the trust keep buying and so much shares it buys that the trust itself has 30%, 40% shares? Listen, no, listen. The trust can buy maximum shall not exceed 2% of the paid up equity capital of the company at the end of the previous financial year. So maximum shares that a trust can buy is 2% only. Next, the total number of shares under secondary acquisition shall be held by the trust shall at no time exceed the below number limits. Okay, so the total number of shares under secondary acquisition held by the trust shall at no point of time exceed the below limits. Means this was for one financial year at the end of the previous financial year held in a financial year. So can I buy 2%, 2%, 2%, 2% for 4-5 years and have a lot of stake? Overall limit, this is the maximum limit that a trust can hold at any point of time. For the schemes given in part A, B, C, if you see employee stock option, purchase scheme, so go and see which all are given. Employee stock option, employee stock purchase, and there is one more, part C, which is there, and this is for the general employee benefits and the retirement benefit scheme, the stock appreciation right scheme. Okay, so they have given you the schemes. So for them, the maximum limit of shares that can be held for the purpose of this scheme is 5%. For these two, the maximum is 2%. And when we see if there are a company has multiple schemes, JB scheme, all this. So because you can have this scheme also, company can have multiple schemes. So combined of all the schemes, overall limit is 5% only. So if I have scheme A and B, I cannot say 5%, 5%. Overall limit is given for all the schemes will be 5% at any point of time. Next. Okay. So few points you can take from here and finish it just to build up an answer. Now another thing, can every single employee participate? Answer is no. Only those who have been determined by the compensation committee. Talented employees will only get the scheme. Compensation committee, what it is? So this is a dedicated committee made. So it is a company shall constitute a compensation committee for the purpose of administration and superintendence of the scheme. तो ये सारी schemes को supervise करना, manage करना, check करना is all given in your the work of the compensation committee. Next, the compensation committee shall be a committee of such board of members as per regulation number 19 of the SEBI LODR regulation. Okay. provided the company may also opt to designate its nomination and NRC committee as a compensation committee. Now, the shareholders approval. Obviously, if you want to issue these kind of schemes, you require shareholders approval. You require shareholders approval. Okay. Now, what kind of resolution is needed? No scheme shall be offered to the employees unless a special resolution has been passed. Explanatory statement has to be given, and a separate resolution shall be obtained in case the company plans to give secondary acquisition, and after that their share capital expands due to the expansion of company of the shares taken by the company. Means what? If we've seen that the maximum that they can do is 2% of the paid up equity share capital, right, of the capital. Now, if the company has made a private placement, the paid up capital will become more, so automatically the trust will get more rights because it's a percentage, right, of this. So if this increases, you get more amount to purchase. So whenever that is happening, then you have to take a approval of the shareholders also. These are all general points. Now coming, which I feel can be asked in your exam. Okay. So this is your past exam question also. Variation of scheme. This is a past exam question. Variation of the terms of the scheme. Employee benefits we have made. Can we vary to put the employee at disadvantage? क्या हम लोग ऐसा vary कर सकते हैं कि employee disadvantage में आ जाए? Answer is no. So any company can vary by passing a special resolution. However, this variation should not be prejudicial to the interest of employees. It should not be prejudicial, shouldn't be detrimental, shouldn't be harmful, shouldn't be disadvantageous to the employee. A employee shall be entitled to vary the terms of the schemes, okay, without seeking. A company shall be entitled to vary the terms of the scheme without seeking the approval by special resolution. If it is changing to meet any regulatory requirement. So if the law has changed, then I don't require any approval of the employee shareholders. Law has changed, so I can make any changes. The notice of the meeting for where the special resolution will be taken will have to explain the full details and the rationale why you're making this variation, etc. A company may reprice the option if the schemes have become unattractive due to fall in the share price. Now understand, when I offered, the market price was 50 and the offer price that I had given, the offer price was rupees 20, and I told him you work hard for 2 years. For 2 years the employee was working, and the share price crashed. The share price crashed. Moment it crashed to rupees 30, or maybe it crashed to rupees 15. So in that case, the employee will say, now this scheme has become completely unattractive, useless. I worked, I am a fool or what? Please reprice it. So then the company will say, okay, fine, we will reprice it. On completion of the tenure, you don't have to pay 20, you just have to pay 10 rupees. Till here it is clear. So they can make it, repricing is always there, but it should always be for the benefit of the employees. Next, winding up of the scheme. Okay. So winding up for the scheme. अभी देखते हैं. अगर एक scheme, if a scheme has, every scheme will have a tenure, and once the purpose is over, the scheme can be wound up. वो scheme को हम लोग बंद भी कर सकते हैं. So in case of winding up of the scheme being implemented, the excess money remaining with the trust after meeting all the obligations shall be utilized for repayment of the loan, distribution to the employees, or be transferred to another scheme under these regulations. मतलब अगर एक scheme, if a scheme is over, then whatever extra money the trust is having, funds are there, it can be used for three purposes. The first purpose is to repay the loan. लोन repay कर दो जो कंपनी के पास से लिया, या फिर एम्प्लॉइज को तुम बेनिफिट्स के तौर पे दे दो, कैश बेनिफिट, या फिर कोई दूसरी स्कीम में ये पैसा ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो. सो यू कैन डू थ्री थिंग्स. यू कैन utilize to repay the loan, that you can utilize to distribute the benefits, and you can use it to transfer the scheme. Now coming to non-transferability. Okay, now coming to the non-transferability, let's see. If I have given to you, let's say you are a talented employee, I gave this scheme to you and your name is Mr. X. Your name is Mr. X, you're extremely talented. Mr. X is saying that I want all these scheme, I don't want it, I'm transferring all my rights to Mr. Y. Chalega kya? Will it be okay? Will this thing be okay? All those rights, the compensation committee has identified Mr. X, offer has been given, discounted price has been given to Mr. X to retain him. Can Mr. X transfer these rights to Mr. Y? Answer is obviously no. ठीक है, इसमें क्या है? Option SAR or any other benefit granted to an employee under the scheme shall not be transferable. It's obvious. Now this guy is saying, okay, fine, I can't transfer. Can I put this and take a loan? Can this employee, now this is again important from exam point of view. This is important from exam point also. Okay, they can ask you. First point, can it be transferred? Answer is a no. Second, he's saying that transfer nahi kar sakta. I can't transfer. Can I put it as a, how I can pledging of shares? Can he pledge? Again, answer is no, because he has not yet been the shareholder of the company. It is just a hypothetical owner. He is just a we can say a probable owner. He may become the owner. Okay, conditional owner we can say. If he completes only, then he will get. Next, in event of death, now we are talking of very sad incidents. So I want you all to be very serious at this point of time. If the employee dies, or if the employees become incapable, got a disablement, permanent incapacity, or if the employee has resigned or has terminated, in all these sad events, what will happen? If we told him you have to work for so many years and he died, mar gaya, he passed away. So in that case, we will say automatically the shares will vest in his legal hands. We will say you worked, and while working only he passed away during that during his tenure, he will get. So while in employment, all the options shall vest with his legal hands. They can ask a question for this for sure. Next one, in case the employee suffers a permanent incapacity, अगर वो employee incapable हो गया या he gets attacked, then automatically it will vest in him. Here we are giving it to his legal hands because he is not alive. Here he is alive. Only thing is he incapable हो गया है. Next is resignation. If he resigns or terminates, will he be given anything? He will be given a kick, and all his options and his benefits will lapse and expire. Next, this all belongs to listed companies. So when the shares get allotted, they will also get listed, and you will have to make an application to list those shares also on the stock exchange. Very important, the new regulations have now introduced the the new regulations have given recognition to the company secretary, and they have said that a certificate from the secretarial auditors of the company has been implemented in accordance with the schemes and in accordance with the resolution of the company in the general meeting. Pay attention. All these schemes, the scope of company secretary has been increased here. They are saying in case, so it's very, very, very important. In case of every company which has passed a resolution for any of these schemes, the board of directors shall at the annual general meeting, the BOD at the annual general meeting shall place before the shareholders a certificate from the secretarial auditors that the scheme has been implemented in accordance with these regulations. Clear till here? Yes or no? Next. Now we are talking the general provisions are over. They can ask you now. I believe you can write all this along with write the introduction and all those things. Now we are going to the next part, which is chapter number 3, administration of specific scheme. Now all those 5 schemes are there. Their specific points are given, and it is so simple, you can score maximum marks. People get scared in this. Okay, let's see specific schemes, chapter number 3. Earlier we did chapter number 2. You can write the general provisions of the scheme. Now you'll write chapter number 3, which talks about the specific schemes. First, part A, employee stock option scheme, which talks, let's see what are they given. How do you remember all these things? It is all common points for all. Firstly, any scheme that we are doing, we shall contain the details of the manner of the scheme in which it will be implemented and operated. First point क्या है? Administration, that the scheme shall contain the details of the manner in which the scheme will be implemented and operated. Common sense से details देना पड़ेगा कि आप कैसे implement और operate करोगे ये scheme को. No ESOS shall be offered unless the necessary disclosures are being given. So disclosures देने पड़ेंगे और details देना पड़ेगा. This is what is there of how you will implement and administer. Next they talk about pricing. Remember I told you all the market price was rupees 50 and our offer price is rupees 20. Can I make it 10? Can I make it 1? Can I make it rupees 0 free? Yes or no? Can I do that? Can I issue the ESOPs free of cost? Answer is you are free to determine the exercise price. तुम्हारा शेयर है, जो चाहिए करो. It's the share of the company. Company can issue it for whatever price they want, but obviously they take some amount. They issue it at a discounted price. They can issue it at free, but they don't necessarily commonly do that. Next is the vesting period. Okay, vesting period मतलब क्या? तो एक हो गया एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के सारे डिटेल्स दे देंगे. प्राइसिंग यू आर फ्री टू प्राइस. नेक्स्ट इज अबाउट द वेस्टिंग पीरियड. There will be a minimum vesting period of 1 year in case of ES. सारे में ही 1 year का vesting period है. Vesting period means what? Waiting period. For this much time he has to work with company. Work with company. So company can keep it minimum 1 year. They can keep it 2 years, 3 years, how much ever time they want. So the minimum vesting period is 1 year. Now here they talk about a merger and amalgamation. Okay. Now if the company got merged, let's understand this. Okay. If there was company A and company B, they got merged into company AB. So there was a merger. Tell me such things you like or no. Message whether put in the chat box whether you like this thing or no. They have merged. So whenever this kind of merger is there, it's always a good thing. Now, if there was an employee who his lock-in period was 1 year. He worked in this company for and 6 months has been completed in this company, and this company got merged. and now he is wondering that in this new company again he has to do the lock-in, or this period will be counted for computing the vesting period. He has to work more for 6 months or 1 year. Will his period of working in this company be counted? Yes or no? Quickly message. So the answer is obviously yes, only this period will be counted, and he has to work only for 6 months, because in the 6 months he's worked in this company got merged, so now he just has to continue for the another 6 months in this company. That's what they've given, and they've repeated this point everywhere in every scheme. They've said about all the sad things also I told you, such as death, incapacity, and in the last they say resignation. So same point, if in death it will go to legal heirs, if it's incapable it will be vested to him. Now coming, the company may specify the lock-in period pursuant to the issue of the share. So they are free to put in the lock-in period also, but minimum 1 year will be there. Rights of the option holder. Now it's a very important past exam question also. Will the employees who have got the granting of option get voting rights and dividend? Tell me one thing. Rights of the option holder. Can the employees who have got this offer, will they get dividend? Will they be able to vote? Will we be called as shareholders? Answer is no. Till the shares have not been actually granted to him, till they don't become the actual shareholder, they don't have any voting rights. So what is the rights of the option holders? There are no rights. Shall not have a right to any dividend or to their vote or to get any benefit until the shares have been actually granted and exercised. Next, consequences of failure to exercise an option. Okay, if you have not exercised the option, I didn't want to do, I didn't have that balance 20 rupees, I don't want to work with the company, I have completed the tenure, but I don't want it. So what happens if you do not exercise it? So then, very simple, the whatever money you paid, it can be forfeited. If the company has taken some balance advance in before, they can forfeit it, or whatever that money is there, they can refund it also. Then, so we finished the first scheme, and if you notice, we have finished two more schemes. Right now, you will come to know why, because the points are the same. For ESPS also, administration, company shall give the details and disclosures. Pricing, they are free to price. The lock-in period will be minimum 1 year. If it is merged, same points that the period in the original, the amalgamating company, in the transferor company will be counted. Death, disablement will be given to the person. This is a new point in ESPS where it has been given as a part of public issue. So this is a public issue. Remember, I made that in public issue I said that this much part is for the employees, and if you purchased during this time, if you purchased it, let's say for others it was 50, for the employee it is rupees 20, but still if the employee purchased for rupees 50, he didn't want to go into the lock-in period, he purchased at the what is available at for the public only. The employee said, मेरे को lock-in नहीं चाहिए, I don't want to get into the scheme, I will purchase at market price. Then will the lock-in period apply? Yes or no? Okay. Next is, so then the lock-in period shall not apply. It's obvious because he has bought it at market price. Only if he buys at discounted price, it will be there. Next one, part C. Part C is talking about the stock appreciation right scheme. Remember I told you what is stock appreciation right? That whatever is the appreciation, that much can be given in cash in kind. Now again, same points. Give the disclosures. You're free to price. Now this is specific, okay? You can either, that appreciation can be given in cash, or it can settle it in the form of granting equity shares of that appreciation. Okay, no SAR shall be offered unless the disclosures have been given. Vesting period again they've given is 1 year. Okay, merge, death, same points. Rights, instead there are no rights. Same points repeated. Now notice that for D and E, for chapter number D, that scheme that is the general employee benefit scheme and the retirement benefit scheme, there are two special provision of this 10%. You will notice this 10% point is only coming in the last two schemes. There is a 10% point, a 10% point, which is there in these two schemes only. So let's see which one it is. First, okay. Again, the first point will be same, that it shall contain the details of the scheme. One, done. Second, this is a new point which will be there in both the last two schemes. What does it say? That the shares of the company shall not exceed 10% of the book value, market value and fair value of the total assets of the scheme, whichever is lower, for the benefit of general employee benefit scheme. Understand? What are they saying? The shares of the company shall not exceed 10% of, so 10% of the book value, market value and fair value of the total assets. So whatever is the price of total assets of the scheme for general employee benefit scheme. So this is the maximum amount that we can use. 10% of the price of the, this price is of three kinds. Okay, one is your book value, market value and fair value, whichever is lower. Now again, I want, the people get confused in this, so take a break, relax, you have a lot of time. Important concept I'm explaining, okay, and then you need to tell me whether you understood it or not. First, let's understand what are these three different prices: book value, market value, fair value. Today, if you take the balance sheet amount, the balance sheet value of one share, let's say it can be rupees 30. Yes or no? When we do the assets less liabilities divided by the number of shares, so this is also called as a balance sheet price. You get rupees 30. But जरूरी है क्या कि जो बैलेंस शीट प्राइस है वही मार्केट प्राइस होगा? Is it necessary that the book value has to be same as market value? Yes or no? Quickly. Exactly, no. So the market value can be trading at 50. You will be shocked. Go in Adani any share. If the share is of 30 value, is being traded at 300. It's so overvalued. People believe it will go bigger and bigger. So even if the book value is 30 today, people feel that in future it will go very high. So they buy. So the market price can be lower, higher or lower, possible. And the other one is a fair value. Now fair value is the actual transaction price. This is the actual transaction price. Let me explain with the help of an example. Have you all heard of Elon Musk? Elon Musk has purchased a company recently. Can you all message in the chat box which company has he purchased? Which company has he purchased? Exactly, he has purchased Twitter. Now Twitter market price might be 50. But don't you think Elon Musk actually paid more than the market price also what is trading on the stock market? We have seen that very common in takeovers, that you give a premium. So the fair value can be anything, right? Fair value can be anything. So what have they said? That from all these, so all these three terms are clear. Book value is a fundamental price. Market price is the actual share market price. And face value is the actual transaction price, which might not be according to the market value. Sometimes we have private placement at a very different price. Okay. So what are they saying? Ki maximum 10% of the assets can be used for general employee benefit scheme. Okay, so this is the maximum 10% that can be used. So again, I'll read it out. So the shares of the company shall not exceed this figure for the purpose of general employee benefit scheme. So you will figure out what is the total assets of the scheme. Uska 10% is the maximum that you can use for general employee benefit scheme. The rest of the amount can be used for other things such as putting in FD, putting in some liquid funds, etc. Okay. Now when we go, so only that much 10%, just remember that those figures, that's it, that's the only new point in D scheme and in E scheme also. E is about retirement benefit, everything else is the scheme. You have to give the disclosures, then you have to give the details of the scheme. The 10%, the shares of the company shall not exceed 10% of the book value of all this, of the total assets of the scheme, whichever is lower, for the purpose of benefit of this scheme. So this is the maximum amount that can be used for the purpose of purchasing the shares and giving. Rest all can be used for helping the employees, healthcare. All the money cannot be used to buy shares and keep at discounted price. Give health benefits, give other benefits, do other things also with it. Okay, I hope that is clear. So we have finished the half part of the regulation, which is also the most important part. Now we'll be starting with sweat equity. What is sweat equity? Clear? I hope till here it is absolutely clear. If it is clear, please message in the chat box. Till now everything is absolutely clear. Quickly, so we can move ahead. Then we'll be starting with the second part, sweat equity, which will also get over in 10 minutes. Quickly, so we'll be starting with the second part, which is about sweat equity, and we'll get over in 10 minutes. I want you all to message in the chat box if it is clear. And don't forget to put a thumbs up on the video also, just a request. Okay, so now let's start quickly, moving ahead. Sweat equity. Now what do you mean by perfect? Now what do you mean by sweat equity? The definition is given under section 2 subsection 88. Definition of sweat equity is given under section 2 subsection 28. Now I will explain in a very clear manner to you. Once and for all, the sweat equity concept will be clear. Now what happens is, companies and there is a employee. Okay, now pay attention. Okay, employee. This employee, in addition to his salary, he goes home and on his own as a hobby developed a software. He developed a software. He is very talented. Now company says, he goes and informs the company that on my own merit I need this software. Company says, very great, give us this software. So in return, we will give you shares of the company. Company will allot shares, and in return the employee will give his intellectual property rights, knowledge, know-how, value addition, whatever he's done, he will give it. So can I now say this transaction, the company has allotted the shares to the employee for consideration other than cash? Did the employee pay cash, or he gave consideration other than cash? Quickly, he gave cash or he gave consideration other than cash? Obviously he did not give cash. He gave consideration other than cash, maybe a technology, a software, licensing, anything. So this is your definition. This share will be called as sweat equity share. They are in par with any other share. Only difference is, we come to know that against these shares मनी नहीं आया, पैसा नहीं आया, कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी आई, कुछ इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी आया इसके बीच पे. ओके, सो वील रीड. Sweat equity shares means equity shares. So these are equity shares, okay, which are issued by the company to its employee at a discount or for consideration. So maybe they can take 50% cash, 50% technology benefit at a discount of a consideration other than cash for providing know-how, making available rights in the nature of intellectual property rights, value addition, whatever name called. Till here it is clear. Now quickly, if you understand the regulations, for unlisted companies, if sweat equity is being issued, section 54 and rule 8 of the company share capital and debenture rules 2014 will apply. If it is a listed company, for listed company, the employee share based employee benefits and sweat equity regulations 2021 will apply. Till here it is clear. So we are doing for listed companies. Let's see what all points are they given. Now, issue of sweat equity by listed company, chapter number 4 applies. So if they ask, please write chapter number 4. Okay. Now, definition they've given. What is sweat equity? We've discussed. The maximum quantum of sweat equity shares that can be there. Now, this is important. Can the company keep giving shares like this only to everybody? Take technology, no, take the share, take the share. Can the, or there will be a upper limit? Cash भी तो आना चाहिए ना? Cash भी तो आना चाहिए ना? So they've given the maximum quantum of sweat equity shares that can be issued. A company shall not issue sweat equity for more than 15% of the paid up equity share capital in a year. Max how much in a year they can do? 15% max in a year. Next, however, issuance of a sweat equity shall not exceed 25% at any point of time. So in 1 year 15, then again next year 15, then again next year 15. ऐसा नहीं होगा. Overall limit is 25% max overall. Till here it is clear? Yes. Now for those innovators, now till here it is for applicable for all companies. But for those who are there on innovators growth platforms, startup companies, they are permitted, they get some additional benefit, permitted to issue not more than 15% of the paid up capital in a year, subject to an overall limit of 50% up to 10 years from the date of incorporation. So they get not 25% of any point of time, they can issue maximum limit is 50%, because in a startup company, whenever some employee has innovated something, obviously that time you want to give more because he has actually done, and startup company के पास ज़्यादा पैसे होते नहीं है. हो सकता है कि एक न्यू कंपनी might not have money, एक नई कंपनी के पास पैसे नहीं होंगे, तो वो लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? इक्विटी शेयर बांटते हैं. They give equity stake. So that has been recognized and they can allow to give a maximum of 50%. But up to 10 years, which are there. Now coming special resolution, whenever you want to issue sweat equity shares, special resolution has to be taken as given under section 54 along with the explanatory statement. The issue of the sweat equity shares to the employee who belong to the promoter or promoter group. Again, if you are issuing sweat equity shares to the promoter or the promoter group, then only a ordinary resolution is needed. Obviously, we know that the promoter only would be the one working, so for him only 51% share, then we can allot to him. Each of such sweat equity shares shall be voted by a separate resolution. So whenever sweat equity share is being issued to Mr. A, to Mr. B, again whenever it's being issued, a separate resolution will have to be taken. And this resolution will be valid for maximum 12 months. Means the resolution has been passed, you can issue it to so and so person, the board, the company resolves to issue it. So within the time limit, it should be allotted. So from the resolution to actual allotment should be completed within 12 months. Clear? Great. Now coming to this pricing of sweat equity share. Again, what word is common? Free to price. The price of the sweat equity share shall be in this just important to note. Now this is sometimes fraud happens. Okay, sometimes fraud happen, and what happens is company starts giving equity shares to many of its employees, and in return कुछ अच्छा खासा ये नहीं आ रहा है, टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं आ रही है, just they are not getting something that valuable. So then they said that listen, you cannot issue at an extreme discount. So for that you have to follow the pricing methodology as given for preferential issue under the ICDR regulations 2018. Means sweat equity pricing will be subject to the same conditions as what is applicable to preferential issue under ICDR regulations 2018. Valuation. So the valuation of the technology will be done by a merchant banker. He may consult other experts, and a merchant banker shall obtain a certificate from an independent chartered accountant that the valuation and the know-how is in accordance with the accounting standards. Accounting treatment, very very important. This has been asked also in the exam and many people don't know. So now pay attention, okay, to this part. Now we know that we are getting technology. The company is getting technology. They are getting this software, intellectual property rights as consideration for the share. Okay. Now when you get this, is software a asset or no? Is software coming in the asset sides? So if the company plans to put it in the asset side in balance sheet, or they can say ki no, it is not worthwhile of becoming a asset, we'll just treat it as a expense and put it into the profit and loss account. So depending on the nature of the software, you will decide whether you want to put it into the balance sheet or treat it as an expense and finish. Sometimes he's just giving some know-how. Know-how cannot be put in the balance sheet. It will be treated as an expense. Sometimes he's not giving the ownership rights. He's giving only license. So license will also be expensed out into this. Okay. So the accounting treatment shall be for non-cash items if it is in the form of an asset, amortized asset. So depreciation is for tangible assets. For intangible assets, we don't say depreciation, we say amortization. Amortization assets can be treated in the balance sheet, or if A is not applicable, then it will be expensed out. Very important, super important point, that this will be placed before the auditor's certificate. Placing of the auditor, the board of directors shall place before the shareholders a certificate from the secretarial auditor. So company secretary scope has increased, recognized in listed companies, that the issue of sweat equity regulation has been made in accordance with these regulations. So a certificate from a CS that these regulations have been complied. Now sealing on the managerial remuneration. This is very common that they ask with respect to managerial remuneration, whether this, when we are giving it to a director is already getting salary. In company law, they have given under section 197, 198 the maximum that he can get remuneration. Beyond that, certain compliances, approvals have to be taken. So whether this will be counted in managerial remuneration or not. So the amount of sweat equity So we'll say, is it remuneration? Shall be treated as a part of managerial remuneration if the following conditions are fulfilled. So it will be treated as a company has given him extra money or extra benefits if it is issued to a director or manager and it is not in the form of an asset. The intellectual property asset के form में नहीं आया है, expense के form में आया है, which you cannot, it's not something that valuable that you have got. So in that case we will say this is a treated in computing your managerial overall ceiling of managerial remuneration. Lock-in of sweat equity shares. The sweat equity share shall be locked in for a period as specified in ICDR regulations, that is 1 year minimum. These shares will get listed. Okay, then obligation of the company in all these things, very simple. What is the obligation? Explanatory statement, secretarial auditor certificate. Within 7 days, apply for listing. And that is it. We are completed with the entire regulation. Nothing else can be asked from these regulations. Is this absolutely clear? This is one of the category A chapters which has a weightage of around 12 marks in your examination.